You are now tuned in to the newest Bills Mafia production, FamBase Sports. Join Jarek Hall and Kari Demos as they take you around the world of sports every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on the official network of the original Bills Mafia.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back once again to our show with Buffalo FamBase Sports with Kyrie Demos and Jarek Hall. We're back here again, and unfortunately, it's the city of Buffalo is facing tough times. As everyone know, there was the shooting on Jefferson Tops that 13 people unfortunately got shot, 10 lost their lives, and it's just very, very unfortunate. I used to shop at that Tops. Me and my mom, she used to take me all the time after school, and we would go there at times. And it's just crazy to think. My mom, she's a principal. She works. She's an educator, and she works literally less than 2 blocks away from there, and she goes to a salon 2 blocks away from there. So it's tough, and it kind of makes you kind of question things. It makes you question, why would someone do this? And again, today's going to be a day where we're going to try to remember the victims, pray for the families, and again, it's a tough week for the city of Buffalo. But Kyrie, man, how are you doing today? And obviously, how are you taking the situation?
Yeah, first off, I appreciate you, Jarek, for checking in, and first and foremost, just thoughts and prayers to the families, the victims, everyone involved. The saddest thing about this, first of all, we have to deal with, a person coming in from outside of our city and, really just spreading hate and, committing a heinous act. I don't even want to address whoever this person was that did this by name. They don't deserve that, really. But it's just so sad because this was something that dawned on me. Someone had mentioned this, and something I had watched yesterday is that the fact that all of those people who unfortunately had their lives taken were people that were involved in the community and, were doing great things and, were living lives, being servant leaders. That's something that I don't think I think is something that needs to be addressed more and needs to be highlighted more because, obviously it's unfortunate what happened to them, but I don't want the loss of their lives to reflect, all the great things that they did in life. They did so many great things and they were valued contributing members to this society. You talk about, personal, how it personally affected you. I actually went to high school with Aaron Selter's son, Aaron Selter Jr. I've reached out to him and, my thoughts and prayers are with him. And, my mother and her boyfriend actually both worked with Aaron Selter, the retired police officer who really was a hero in this all. Him stepping up and, trying to protect whoever else was left in the Tops. He was able to really stop him, being able to shoot the shooter. So, it really is unbelievable to think how close things really are to you. Even me not living in the city of Buffalo, my mother's boyfriend, actually, he lives so close to that Tops, like he can see it from his house. It just is unbelievable to think how close you are to danger and to just, how close things can really come in life at all points in time. So again, I just, want to share my thoughts and prayers to everybody out there. We'll get to this a little bit later, but there are some resources and outlets that we want to share in terms of places you can donate, some different drives and fundraisers that are being put together for the families, and just some of the things that we want to do to be able to show that we're still the city of good neighbors. This this unbelievable, crazy event is not going to hold us back from, coming together. I think it's really just going to make us come together that much more. So, again, just really a sad moment in history for the city of Buffalo. But, I just hope and pray that, we can see that there are issues going on in this world that we still need to have addressed, that were issues for this country when this country was first being started. So
Yeah, man, and it's incredible, how many people that has ties to the situation, has ties not just for to the tops, but for the entire city of Buffalo. It's just there's a lot of people that has ties to this, unfortunately, to the situation. And you know a lot of those victims, we a lot of our families, we have people that know them personally. And we have friends, we have siblings that personally know these people. And um it's just, I mean, I never, I'm gonna be honest, I never thought that something like this could ever happen in the city of Buffalo. We see situations kind of like this, and we hope and pray that it would never happen, especially here in the city that we live in, that we grew up in. um and it's so unfortunate. Me and my mom, we kind of rode by there just to kind of check up on everything, and kind of in a way expressing our condolences, and just to see so many people just impacted by the situation. I think it just, it goes to show you that as a community, we are one as a whole. Um, and again, we're going to mention earlier, there's a lot of other ways for us to donate and contribute to the city. I know I don't want anyone feeling potentially left out of this, but it's tough. It's very, very tough. And obviously Thurman Thomas, seeing his thoughts about the situation, and just seeing the emotion on his face, in tears, you know it's just, that's how a lot of us are feeling right now. And um it's just a shame, man, that the only tops in the Black community is gone, unfortunately. And a lot of those people that rely on that tops to feed their families, they have to go elsewhere. And it's a community that they don't want to leave, to try to go beyond, to get their groceries, to get their needs, to feed their families. But it's just, it's a tough subject, man. It's a very, very tough subject. It's something that we just never thought we would be talking about. And yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
just, man, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that someone actually drove 2 hours to a community, and just all because of just hatred of skin color. Like, it's something that we thought that we were past this. We thought that
right.
based off of the lessons that we've learned from, and in our history, that we can no longer go through something like this. And to see that someone has that much hatred in their heart to drive 2 hours to buff to the not even from the community, to pretty much scout an area, is just it's just
It's sickening.
sickening.
It's
I can't
sickening.
even, I tried to prepare myself for this because I knew we were going to touch upon this. But the more and more, the more and more I talk with my family, and just pretty much everyone, it's not just families, everybody. The more I just talk about it, I'm like, dude, this is sick. This is sick.
Yeah, that's really the only way to describe it, because I mean, the saddening thing about it too is, you know, o- obviously you don't want to give these shooters credit for what they do, but they're the way they plan, the amount of effort and time and energy they put into making something so horrific possible, the research that they do, for this guy to come to Buffalo several different times, essentially scoping out what this tops looked like, and the ins and outs of it, things of that nature. For him to pick Buffalo specifically because it was the biggest city in his region, closest to him, in terms of per capita with Black people, to think that, like you mentioned as well, with the Jefferson Tops being, essentially a food desert, because you don't have enough stores in that region for the people in the Black community to go to, so they have no choice but to go to that Tops. And again, just the fact that the east side of Buffalo is considered, the east side of Buffalo, the side of the city that you don't want to necessarily be at in certain times of the day. And if you're not coming from those communities and backgrounds, you might get checked going through those places. But the fact that obviously you take a system where, I mean, this kid, who knows how long ago, or if he even has his gun license. That's a whole, that we'll get to that topic of things later on. But to even think about just how easily he was able to get access to a gun, to drive here, and to do what he did. I mean, it just goes to show that this country has an issue, has a lot of issues, but I just can't get over the fact of, for him to take matters into his own hands, quote unquote, for him to post the manifestos that he did, to not get flagged for them, to stream this on Twitch. And obviously Twitch has taken it down since then. But like all these things that just, you would think, hey, like, somebody's got to stop this person. Even the fact that with him coming here a few weeks before several times, scoping the place out and being stopped, like people checking and say, hey, this guy's kind of suspicious, but really no follow-ups on those. It's just unfortunate. And it really just shows that there's a systemic problem that we still face today. I can remember when the George Floyd situation happened, Breonna Taylor situation happened. I mean, shoot, I can go back all the way to when I was in high school with the Trayvon Martin situation. Yeah. And to think about how much, there was almost like an outpour of, hey, all right, we get it, like, move on at a certain point. This is why we can't move on. The situations like these are the exact reason why, for however many years we all have on this earth, and however many years the next generations get, that we pass along information to them, knowing to share that, hey, in this country there are two Americas. We might be the United States of America, but there are two Americas. And the fact that even in a city that has such national, in terms of, especially in the most recent years, such a national appeal in terms of, oh, Buffalo, it's a good time there, people enjoy themselves, oh yeah, it snows a lot, but they have the Bills and things like that. Like, this is still one of the most one of the poorest cities in the country, but also too, it's also one of the most segregated in the country. But those two things are not mutually exclusive. Those go more so hand in hand than people would realize. So again, it's just unfortunate just how, as crazy as this person was that did this, as crazy as it is to think of all the things he posted and things like that, it's even crazier to think that he had the ability to do this, because systemically what he did, systemically him plotting on Buffalo, it was a lot. Basically him doing this was enhanced by the system that's already in place. For Buffalo to be the city that it is, he wouldn't have chosen another city if it wasn't presenting the same things that Buffalo did. The amount of people that live in the city, the amount of Black people that live in the city, for them to be specifically on the east side. So again, it's just, we could talk about this for days. This.
It's just, it's amazing. It's just amazing that he's been plotting for months, since March, and just did his homework, just literally did his homework, knew exactly when, knew exactly the time, wrote what, 180 pages, just planning everything. Like, that is just, that man, that's something that you would see from like the military. Like that is something that you would see from like that sounds like a Rambo movie. Like that is it's just incredible. Just how much hatred you can build up, and in order for you to pretty much plot and plan and just take innocent lives, all based off of skin color. Like, no, these people, they're complete strangers. They did nothing to this guy, and for him to just it's just a sad topic, man. But I do want to talk about what can we do to try to prevent issues like this, because obviously, if you go on, obviously if you go on his on the social media platforms, and you're able to kind of see that this is a person that is probably capable of doing this. I mean, this is the guy that has photo of guns. I mean, if you look at some of his guns, he has he's got the N word around there multiple times. He pretty much talked about his plans, what his body count, what he presumed, what his prediction of what body count he had. Like, this is a person that has been plotting this not just since March, but for a while. So and it's all on social media. It's these subreddits. Again, it's on his Twitter platform. What can we do to try to prevent something like this from happening? Because for the most part, and even now on these social media platforms on Twitter, it seems like there's people that's motivated based off of his actions. I mean, even in here in the city of Buffalo, what have we heard? We've heard multiple threats of Bocce's getting closed down, a local pizza store here. From those who are not from Buffalo, on Amherst, Bocce's being closed down, Walmart's being shut down. We Niagara Falls, we have random neighbors, just elderly Black neighbors. They have to look at their fence, and all of a sudden, it's just the end. It's I don't want to say it because it's too gross. It's way too gross. It's too problematic. But obviously these threats that are continuing to go on, like what can we do to try to avoid something like this? It's just because it's honestly, we thought that we can learn from the George Floyd situation. We thought that we can learn from these previous cases, these previous incidents, and it seems like we continue to go in a backwards direction.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like, I feel like it's a cycle at this point. Unbelievable heinous act happens. There's sadness. There's an immediate uproar. There's a push. Hey, we're gonna make these changes. We're gonna donate to this fund for the family involved. Then things die down a bit, and I really think the biggest thing is being able to get these messages out to people who may not understand. Like, I've talked with some friends about this before, especially as a Black person, talking to some of my white friends, like, there are certain things that they go out every single day and they don't have to think about or worry about. I mean, yes, you as a white person, yeah, you worry about, I'm sure you worry about going outside and getting in your car and getting pulled over. Yeah. But like, getting pulled over and getting a ticket and getting pulled over and being in fear of your life are two whole totally different things. And there's just so many different things that we have to consider as people of color, as Black men specifically. For us to live the lives that we do, we have to tread lightly at times, because you don't want to ever get caught in a situation where you just don't know who the person on the other side is. But that's the tough thing too, is, this was obviously something that was planned, and this was something that was, even though it was a random attack, it was planned. I think the biggest thing, when it comes to helping prevent, situations like those, is if there are red flags of any kind that you're seeing from a person, speak up on it. I'm sure there were people who saw some of the things that this guy was posting and were concerned about, because why wouldn't you be concerned about them? Like, he was posting stuff that, I mean, it's clear as day how he felt about the Black community. Clear as day how he felt in terms of, being able to use military level weapons too. So when you see things like those, when you see him posting or people posting, when you see people sharing rhetoric that you you wouldn't want, your kid, or if that person's parent was reading it, they wouldn't want them to read that. Things like that. Like if they're posting things like that, speak up about that. Share that and let people know that, hey, this person might be they might be dangerous, because you never know. I think the scariest thing is, like, how are we supposed to know who the next mass murderer is? Like, mass murderers have come in a lot of different shapes and forms, and they have looked, several different ways throughout history. But at the same time, there are a lot of people out there that want to help. And like I said, the biggest thing is just speaking up if you see red flags, because I think, if anything, we're going to, you know, be more precautious with things, now, especially now in the wake of this. But at the same time, too, like, I don't want people to let 2 weeks go by, 2 months go by, 2 years go by, and they think, okay, well, life is good again, back to normal. Like, no, this is a fight that we're going to have to continuously fight, for generations to come. I mean, I know we've come a long way. We've gotten very far with it, but just think about how much further we need to go when there's stuff like this still happening, right here in our backyard.
And I think I think you made a phenomenal point, is that we can't forget about these incidents. We can't forget about these incidents. We can't just, all of a sudden something bad happens, and all of a sudden 2 or 3 weeks goes by, and then all of a sudden we try to, we try to do our best to move on. And maybe that's just, that's just our natural human instinct, is to try to move on somewhere. But the more and more we ignore these type of situations, the more and more they're going to continue to go on, unfortunately, in this country. And again, the Buffalo shooting, that wasn't the only mass shooting. I mean, there was way more that happened that affected that not just affected the Black community, it affected tons of communities. It affected the Asian community, as we all know from there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the Black community, just all different types of communities were impacted just this weekend alone. And I can't remember a day where I've seen this many mass shootings in a weekend. I just can't. And it's going to be a big debate about, of course, with gun laws, and obviously about, permits. There's going to be a huge debate about that. But obviously, I think the most important thing, again, is that we just can't forget about these incidents. We have got to we got to face these issues. The more and more we try to run from our issues, the more and more it's going to continue to persist. And I hope and pray that we never ever have anything close to what we had. You know, on the Tops Jefferson issue. I just hope we never, and it is not just for the city of Buffalo, it's pretty much for everywhere. I just hope that nothing like this anywhere in this country, because it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable that in 2022, we have a hate crime. We have someone that pretty much shoots up a grocery store, people that are trying to feed their families, based off of skin color. So, again, let's not try to ignore this issue. Let's face the problem. Let's try to tackle it. And the more and more we continue to do that, the more and more, the more progress that we can try to move forward. Because it's a long fight. This is not going to be over in about a week or two. This is going to be a very, very long fight. I mean, when I'm gone, or Kyrie, when you're gone, this fight will still continue to try to happen. But the more and more, again, we face these issues, the more and more we can try to we have a chance of winning against something like this.
Yeah, 100%. And you made a phenomenal point, of, facing our problems head on. I think that's so key. I think this is it's, it goes back to a bigger point. Like, we were having this conversation after the George Floyd situation, after the Breonna Taylor situation, where it's like, what do we do? How do we hold people accountable? What is going to be this next step forward? And I appreciate people that are doing things and are out in the community, trying to educate people, trying to make change. But at the same time, too, there's still such a cyclical piece to this where, people, obviously when when you're right in the midst days after, we're less than a week obviously after this situation just happened. It's fresh, it's on everybody's mind. It's a lot what people have been talking about this week. People can't get their minds off it, and I'm glad that people are giving it that respect, because that's the thing, we need to address it as such. But at the same time too, like, we can't just, and I know I just mentioned it earlier, but we just can't move on like every other time we've done, because again, we do that and look where we end up. We end up in a
Right back
situation
here.
like this again, right back here. Shout out to Ismael Maniero. um Same thing in the city of Rochester. I've got family there. My girlfriend lives there. Like, I know for a fact, like, there's a lot of issues there that, again, it's cyclical. And this is me going off on a tangent, but, I think, um, I really think that just seeing, that there is an issue, it's what are we going to do about it? Are we going to just sit on our hands? Are we going to actually roll up our sleeves and get to work? I want to see people in the community actually stepping up and, striving for better. Because the saddest thing about this too, I mean, so many sad things about this, but I think one of the saddest things about this whole situation too is the fact that, again, this wasn't someone who came from Buffalo. This was someone who came here and had such committed such a vile act. But it's a stain on the city of Buffalo, but it's not anything necessarily that the city of Buffalo has done to necessarily put these. Well, I'll say this, because it's two-sided. Because on one hand, yes, systemically, the way the city is segregated, yes, that definitely contributed to why this attack happened. But at the same time too, like, it wasn't like this was a Buffalo born and raised resident who had been going to the Jefferson Tops for years on end. Like, no, this was an outsider who came in and chose Buffalo because of the city that it is, and he decided to wreak havoc on it. Now, like I said, there are more systemic issues that contributed to this, but we have a black eye now in our community and on this city, because someone who isn't a part of this community wanted to leave a stain on it. And that's just unfortunate, because there are so many good people in this community. This community, more than a lot of others, really sticks together and comes together on a lot of things. So I think the silver lining through this all is seeing just the many ways that people are stepping up, and just seeing the many ways that people are trying to offer help, because it's not going to just take this week to help. It's not going to just take this month to help, or this year. This is something that's going to impact this community for years to come.
Yeah, and I would just say this too, if I could just bring out a message real quick. Let's stop with the threats. I mean, let's stop with all this stuff, because I think it's just unnecessary, and I think it's just kind of stupid, honestly, for people to honestly continue to to try to basically try to capitalize off the situation for what? I mean, what you're capital on. I mean, what are you trying to achieve here? Obviously, you have businesses that are not just in the city of Buffalo. This is in Rochester. This is in Syracuse. This is in some of the local kind of local communities. Dunkirk, Fredonia. Like, this is happening everywhere in pretty much Western New York to the upper state areas, where you have these people that are literally trying to capitalize off of a massacre. I mean, this is just, so I would definitely say, just please. I mean, let's not do this. Let's not act stupid here. Again, these businesses, I mean, they have to work. These businesses, they have to work. They have to try to make money. And for these businesses to pretty much shut down because of idiotic comments and statements, it's so unnecessary. And again, to me, I think it's sickening. It's sickening that you would even try to capitalize off of this. I mean, people have literally died for this, and so all I personally ask is just, please stop it. There's no need for you to do it. Not to mention that you could potentially get in a lot of trouble for doing it. But I think for the most part, it just kind of just exposes who are people that care about the city and who are people that don't really care about the situation. So um, yeah, I don't know, what your thoughts about that is. It may sound a little inappropriate coming from, inappropriate, but it's just something I just had to try to get that out the way, try to address.
No, I do feel that right there. I 100% feel you on that because, I mean, the thing that's blowing my mind is like, it's like on one end, like, okay, like, are these people like legitimate? Like, are these like accomplices? Did this clown like have some, did he plant seeds here and, was like, hey, listen, May 14th, this is what's coming. And, did he have like a whole plan in place to, once he did what he did, that other things were to follow? But then on the other hand, I'm like, are these people really serious? Like, you're really trying to basically ride the coattails of, that nonsense that happened, and for what? For clout, to be funny, like to mess with people. Like, I just don't understand it. I really don't. It's unfortunate that we've got people that even in the wake of something this disgusting, like people that really are still missing the boat, missing the point with this all. Like, the reason why situations like this continue to happen is because you got people like those who want to troll and don't necessarily or they take it lightly in the wake of the situation happening. So how is it going to register with them to actually make change in this society when they can't even take it serious days after a national tragedy happens? So I don't know. It's just, again, like you said, I personally am a-okay with you sharing that because it's sad that we even have to be sharing a message like that to people. It's sad that people would even put some of those messages out there like that. If they were true, like, these threats were actually true and they were caught in time, well, thank the Lord. But like, I really have a hard time believing that all of these situations were true, so it's like, why go out of your way to bring that attention to yourself? For what? To get likes, to go viral? Like, I don't understand personally, but again, that's the issue. There's a disconnect for some out there. It's unfortunate, but we got to catch them up to speed at some point.
Yeah. Now, and again, as Bills fans and as Bills Mafia as a whole community, obviously a lot of us are definitely behind this, are definitely behind, supporting, um, doing whatever we can to try to obviously, raise awareness about the situation, especially, being, as fellow Black people, we definitely want to try to raise as much awareness as possible because this is something that's been going on for a while. We've been trying over and over and over again. We thought that the George Floyd situation, that could be a situation where I think a lot of people can learn from, and that situations like this would probably not happen. But unfortunately, again, it's something that has happened. It's something that we've learned now that it's something that will probably most likely happen again, unfortunately, unless we can step forward and we can try to tackle this issue. But obviously, the Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Sabres, those two organizations were able to go to Jefferson and they were able to kind of hand out food a lot to the people in need. So that obviously was great. $400,000 was raised. Again, can't thank but Bills Mafia and just the community and just people from the outside community, because a lot of people that's not even from the city, that's not even around here, that have definitely donated their cause for for the city and for the families that have that obviously lost a lot. So we can't thank you guys enough, coming from me and Kyrie. But your take on what was happening with the Buffalo Bills and the Sabres, of course, doing their joining in the cause, and obviously we had the president Joe Biden was here, and he was able to offer his condolences and his support on the cause.
Yeah, shout out to my guys at the Buffalo Bills. Out with me being in their staff last season, and specifically the community relations department, because I know all those guys were all over it. I'm sure Preston, shout out to Preston Teague, shout out to Brenna Bauer, shout out to Miss Michelle Roberts as well, running the Bills Foundation. I know how integral it is for them to be connected to this community. But to I think one thing that stands out, and I've seen it a million times today, and I'm glad that I saw it a million times today, the fact that every single Bills player on their roster, so they've got 88 players now on the roster, coaching staff, everybody, just about everybody in the building was out there at the event today, which is, I mean, that like you can't understate how important that is, because they could have sent Tyrell Dodson, or they could have sent Jamison Crowder, or they could have sent Devin Singletary. They could have sent guys who might be able to walk through the community and you may not know, but Josh Allen was there and Stephon Diggs was there, Von Miller, and all these names that people recognize them, and just to have that visibility in the community, but not just have that visibility. It wasn't a high and by, to actually, like I said, to roll their sleeves up, get to work, donate, handing out food, just doing their part to be able to, help alleviate some of the pain that this community is dealing with. That's huge, and even for, some Sabres that are still here in town, even some Bandits players were there as well. Like it was, full PSE effort. Really kudos to the staff there, because it's a big deal. It really is. And, I think that, it just goes to show too, like there really aren't too many connecting factors in this world, like the world of sports. And obviously we do a sports show, but when things like these happen, we have to speak on them. But that's the beauty of sports. A lot of times are, the fact that, whether it's you had a tough day in the office, whether maybe things aren't necessarily going well in school, whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, a lot of people rely on these teams and these athletes and coaches, whatever the case is, to uplift them. And, as really just motivation and inspiration in some form or fashion. And, I think to be able to have this Bills team, mind you, a Bills team that, a lot of pundits are picking to win the Super Bowl. They could have said, hey, you know what? It's our off-season training program. OTAs just started. Whatever. It's fine. We'll just do our thing. We'll throw a check to the community. It is what it is. They could have easily done that. But for those guys and women as well, who work on the staff, to come in and do what they did, I just think it's a beautiful thing. And again, I'm thankful to have grown up and live in a city that has a team that is so connected to it, but not only is connected to it, this team cares about this city. And that if that wasn't evident before, today definitely was a huge factor in showing that.
Yeah, and I think personally for me, it makes you really appreciate, where you're from, because typically, when you grow up in the city of Buffalo, I mean, from a sports perspective, like what do you see? Like we have no basketball. We used to have a basketball team, but we have no basketball team. We have no really Major League Baseball team. We have the Buffalo Bisons. We do have a lacrosse team. We have obviously a hockey team and a Sabres team, but we really haven't been that successful compared to some of the other major cities like New York and Los Angeles, and obviously Dallas, Texas. They're known for their popularity with their sports teams. Growing up, you're kind of like, again, I wish I was born here. I kind of wish I kind of grew up here. There's a lot more stuff to do there. But it's stuff like, one thing about the city of Buffalo is that, we can come together. There are events that happens every single year. You look at the Juneteenth parade, you look at the Italian festival. Just certain events where we all just come together as a community and we all just kind of support each other as a day that we could just, come together and we can just enjoy each other's company. We get to know each other really well. Obviously, again, Canal Side during the summer, that's going to be a place where I think, especially over there, they hold tons and tons of events every single week during the summer. So that's going to be, and even during the winter too. So that's, but again, it just makes you appreciate where you're from. And to see this community you just mentioned it, come together, to see the Bills community. I mean, we talk about why the Bills Mafia, it's the best fan base, it's the best organization in the world. And a big reason why is because when stuff like this happens, it is not just, again, it doesn't take a shooting for these, this Bills organization to all come together with the community. Like it's been happening for a while that the Bills community really is trying to interact. Because again, these players, they could just relax. They can just chill out at their homes or and spend time with their families and just go to work and come back home and just relax all day. But instead these guys continue to put in the work, just not just in the film room and on the football field, but they put as much work as possible to try to give back to the community. And I feel like that honestly means a lot for me. I remember growing up, I went to Pinnacle Charter School growing up, and I remember, Bills players would annually come over. I mean, I remember when Arthur Moats, who was a former Buffalo Bill, he came over and he tried to, he spent 3 hours with us, literally coming, working, coming from the Bills facility, working out at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then at 9 o'clock, he went, he drove all the way to Pinnacle Charter School, and he spent 3 hours with us. It's stuff like that where it just makes you really appreciate just everything. And to see this community come together, to see these Bills players literally go to exactly where the tragedy happened, and to spend hours and just so much time there, giving back to the community, making sure everyone is fed, donating tons and tons of money. To see some of our former Bills players, our Hall of Famers like Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed and Bruce Smith, Jim Kelly, to see these guys, Darryl Talley, seeing these guys give back to the community, it just makes you appreciate just being here. It just makes you appreciate exactly where you're from. And just couldn't be more happier to see these guys support the community like they have.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And I think one thing that needs to be talked about with that is, I mean, just consider what a locker room is. Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Steph Diggs, Trey White, Spencer Brown. All these guys come from different backgrounds. They all look different, but at the same time too, they come to work every day and are competing for a common goal. And I think that's, again, talking about the beauty of sports. I think the beautiful thing is, in a locker room, yeah, race gets brought up, yeah, but race isn't as much of an issue inside of a locker room as it is in our own world and communities. So when you think about that, you think about all these guys. So it's almost like the Avengers. All these guys assembling to for one mission, one thing in mind. And again, they all come from different places, but that doesn't stop them from coming together. And again, that's what has made seeing the effort that they did today so important, because again, we talk about how sports impact people. I think just knowing the fact that these guys are trying to spread love, and they come from a locker room that's multicultural, multifaceted, people from all over the place. I just wish that aspect of sports specifically permeated more into the American society, because it's unfortunate. I mean, naturally, we as Black people, we have biases against white people, and it might not even be anything that they had done, that they specifically had done, like if they not like talking about white people that and things like that. It's not anything that they did specifically, but just knowing the way that the system has been designed over the years, it's like, how could you not feel some type of way and just have natural biases? But at the same time too, like a lot of times with the locker room in sports, like that's thrown out of the window. more times than not. So, it's crazy to think that, um, that the Bills had to come and do this because of what happened. But, just kudos to them for stepping up in a time of need, because they could have, again, easily sat on their hands and just watched the situation happen and let it go by the wayside. But, to put their stamp of approval on, put their stamp on it by saying, hey, listen, we're going to make sure that we're helping this community. It's a huge deal. It really is.
I completely agree with you. And man, it's just like the more and more we kind of discuss about this, and we just kind of have to, we have to revisit exactly the events that happens. It just gets tougher. It gets tougher and tougher to talk about, and it's been like this all week for us, not just for me and Kyrie, but for a lot of other people. And it just just like how you kind of mentioned earlier about the Bills organization. I just feel like I like the fact how for these players it just didn't feel like an obligation. It felt like something. It just felt like something. It was just the right thing to do, and I think that's just being a good human being. That like I got to go over here and I got to do my thing. Otherwise, I'm gonna look like a bad person. They're like, no, I need to do this because the community that I'm representing is hurting. And for me, this is the right thing to do. I have to do this. And again, I can't thank the Bills organization enough, and the Sabres organization, the Bandits organization, all our local organizations, the Bias organization, a lot of our local charities, for continuing to support, the Black community in need, because we're hurting. The Black community is definitely hurting, especially on the East Side. I mean, we talk about it a lot. That segregation is something that it is kind of here. I mean, you look at the East Side from the West Side. From South Buffalo to North Buffalo to our suburbs, there is definitely a divide, and to see us all come together to help out a community it's incredible. And hopefully we can continue to try to go down the right path. Hopefully we don't backtrack. We continue to try to help out. We continue to try to help out the community, because let's be honest here, the East Side it's one of the more neglected sides of Buffalo. And the fact that we only have one one supermarket, like one market there, for the black community to go to. I mean, we should have multiple, at least multiple. And so, again, hopefully this puts us on the right track. Hopefully we can learn from this and we can try to grow and get better, and obviously grow stronger from this. But like I said before, I want to thank all the Bills Mafia. I know there's a lot of people from our community that has donated. Obviously, we have a Twitter group that we've honestly keep talking about it, and it's just great to see just people from different backgrounds, different cultures interact with each other and try to come together as one, to try to help out a community that's in desperate need right now.
Yeah, that's a whole fact. I think that's a big key with things. It really is. I think just seeing that, just recognizing that there is a divide. I just hope that, again, the one silver lining that I hope comes from this is that we do continue to come together, and that we aren't so cynical, when it comes to looking at people that may not look like us or may not come from backgrounds as the same as ours. I think we need to keep that going, keep the message going that no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, we should not be shying away from people because they aren't the same as us. Like that, if anything, you should want to learn more about them, because they may teach you something that you don't know. And they may add something to your life that you can take with you, and vice versa. You never know how you may be able to help them. I just think just talking about some of the different efforts out there. There's a lot of different donation spots, GoFundMe's, drives that we want to be able to share. And I definitely am excited to get that out to everybody. for people that may not know or are trying to help but don't know where to go. Definitely want to be able to spread that to people. Now, was there any particular one that you wanted to shed light on, Jarek?
Yeah, I believe there's a food drive on East Ferry. There is a food drive there on East Ferry. That honestly, you guys can drive past it. We me and my mom we drove past that, kind of wanted to check some things out. We kind of stopped there and we kind of donated some food over there. Um, but man, when we got there, when I tell you there was so much food already. It was so much food, so much water, just tons and tons, and it's just amazing. And it was to see so many people from different parts, from Tonawanda, from Amherst. You had people drive all the way from Lockport. Some people were already there from Rochester. It's amazing to see how many people were just involved in that. So that's definitely. I forgot the particular location. I'll definitely try to bring that up and try to get that out as much as possible. But that's definitely one of the locations that you can definitely go to if you want to try to donate any type of proceedings. I'm definitely sure that there are definitely tons and tons of food drives and tons of charities and definitely GoFundMe's that I haven't even mentioned yet. That definitely is going to be up there. Um, Obviously, I think the Buffalo Bills, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that they kind of made their own posts about their own about if you want to try to donate proceedings. Am I kind of correct about that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually pull that up here just to confirm, but I believe I saw that today um, as well. But yeah, it's there's a lot of different outlets. There's a lot of different. Oh shoot, actually, you know what? Hold on a second. I'm gonna take a look here. There's a lot of different outlets though to get involved, and I think people need to just understand that. Listen, this is a time where you can say, "Hey, listen, yeah, I want to get involved." Yeah, okay, well, yes. If you feel that way, then please do because there's a lot of different avenues you can do so. Um, a lot of different avenues you can do so. I'm
Mhm.
just looking here for the Bills
Yeah,
on the
Ismail. He said that they do have one. He said they do have one. I don't. He said,
gotcha.
yeah. So yeah,
Okay, yes. There's a link tree. I believe they not. I'm sorry, not their link tree. They just posted this just actually just before our show. If you go to the Buffalo Bills, whether it's their Facebook, their Twitter, they have pinned posts about how you can help.
hmm
There's ways to donate there. I also wanted to share a stream of GoFundMe pages that are up as well. There's the Buffalo Mass Shooting Help the Families Fund, um, the families of the victims of Buffalo shooting, Buffalo Memorial. There's the Buffalo Tragedy Donate to Victims Families Fund, community support to feed the East Side, the Aaron Seltzer Jr. fundraiser, the Tops Market, GoFundMe, as well as the Buffalo Survivors Fund. And one in particular that I wanted to share that um, someone directly reached out to me about was like I mentioned before, I'm a Lockport alum and native. Um, at Lockport High School on Saturday, um, there is a donation and drive that the school is putting together. It's going to be right in the school's. I believe it's the one of the dropped off. Oh, actually, you know what? It's going to be on the um like the office side of the building for those who may know, but it's going to be on the Lincoln Avenue side. So the address for Lockport High School is 250 Lincoln Avenue. But that's going to be running from 9 a.m. to noon. So yeah, just wanted to get that out there. They're taking all, whether it's non-perishable food, personal hygiene items, toilet paper, paper towels, whatever people are able to donate. They want to be able to help. So all the proceeds, not proceeds, but all things donated will be delivered to the families on the east side as well. So just wanted to share that as well.
All right. Yep. So yeah, man. Now we're going to the kind of the final minutes. Are there like any closing remarks you want to try to make for it, or
Yeah, I would just say that again. I know the gun rights thing is definitely something that's a hot button topic because I do believe that if you feel that per- owning a gun and purchasing a gun um, ensures you and yours safety, then I totally 100% understand that and support that. But I mean, if this isn't another example of why we need more regulations, at least on gun laws, and the fact that we have a recently turned 18-year-old wielding a military level assault rifle. I mean, this is just unbelievable to think because yes, you can do damage with handguns, pistols, whatever the case is, but like those guns are designed to kill people. That there's really not much more. You're not going hunting with that. You're not shooting, in your backyard shooting rounds of that off. That's just not the case. Like those guns were designed to kill people in the art of warfare. So again, I just hope that we can push for better gun regulations, but also too, it's like the old Martin Luther King quote. You the only thing we can drive out hate with is with love. It really is. And I'm just so thankful that the community has come together the way that it has. I'm so thankful for the friends and family who have reached out to me over the last week or so. I appreciate you, or the last few days at least. I appreciate you all. But again, this fight is not done. Keep chopping wood, keep chugging along because there are so many more miles and mountains we need to go. Um, so many more miles we need to go, so many more mountains we need to climb to get even um, a bit closer to where we need to go. So I just hope that we keep persisting. That's all. And for you?
Yeah, man. All I want to say is that we got to stop ignoring these issues. We got to, again, I keep saying it, but we got to stop ignoring these issues. We got to continue to learn from this. We got to continue to try to tackle these issues head on because, again, if we continue to ignore it, then situations like this will continue to persist on and on and on. And it's a never ending cycle. I mean, unfortunately, stuff like this has been going on for hundreds of years, and we haven't even. Again, we forget history. I mean, we try to do our best to forget history because we feel like certain moments in history won't be repeated. But the fact of the matter is that stuff like this has been happening. Hate crimes based off of color. It's been happening since I mean for hundreds of years, and so the best thing we can do is to face the challenge and try to tackle it to the best of our ability. And again, it's going to take time. It's not going to be done in about 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, this is going to be something that's going to happen for a long, long time. And the more and more we continue to try to get better, the more and more we continue to try to tackle these issues, try to do our best to fix these issues, the more I do believe that less of these issues could potentially be prevented from happening. And I feel like the most important part is for people to understand exactly what is going on and what is going on. I feel like it's best for us to understand people's culture, understand people's backgrounds, because the more knowledge that we have of each other, I think the less hatred can be spread. I mean, again, for people to hate somebody based on skin color, we always kind of question, why do you hate us because of my skin color? Why do you hate me because I'm black? But we never kind of ask the question, okay, what can I do? This person hates me. What can I do to try to convince him that I'm not the enemy? And I feel like the more and more we can try to ask those questions and we can try to help out people that hate, that obviously have that hatred in their hearts. We've seen it before where people, hate, our skin color. And then all of a sudden, with words of wisdom and with them and with understanding our culture and our background, they've come to love it. I mean, how many numerous? I mean, I remember one particular story where there's a person that's part of a white supremacist group that ended up adopting black kids and love and treats those kids like they're his own. So it's possible. It's a long fight, but again, the more and more we can actually face these issues, we can tackle these issues, we can teach people with hatred. Um, about our situation, I feel like the less of this could be prevented. And unfortunately, it was just an 18-year-old kid that just had hatred in his heart, that that pretty much modeled his ideologies based off of their white supremacists. And we have to do our best to try to to slow it down. We got to try to do our best to prevent these situations from ever happening again. But yeah, guys, I want to thank everyone for stopping by here on the stream. Ismail, you have been extremely interactive, and we definitely appreciate your feedback. And for everybody else that's either viewing this or will view this in the future, again, it's definitely a tough time. Again, for me, I used to shop at that Tops regularly. My mom literally teaches less than 2 blocks away from it. She goes to a hairdresser less than 2 blocks away from it. So it's a community that I'm very familiar with, and to see something like this happening in just a place that you used to go towards, it's sickening, and it's something that hopefully it will never happen again. And it's not just in the city of Buffalo; it's everywhere. To see stuff like this happen, someone hates you because of your skin color. It's wrong, and I keep repeating it, but I feel like it's just so important for me to try to get this across, man. We have to really try to stop this. And again, the more and more we can face these issues head on, the less of these situations could potentially be happening. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for happening. This is Buffalo FamBase Sports. This is Jared Call with Kyrie Damos, and we'll check you guys out on the next episode on Tuesday, 7 p.m. I know we couldn't do it. We had some issues there, but every Tuesday, but definitely check us out every Tuesday. And hopefully you guys have a good night. Bye.
Take care, y'all.